Hey all, thanks for responding so well to the videos I started doing. This one is a little different, and I'd love to know what you think. Hit me up at atomicsteve@gmail.com to let me know. Today, I'm going to look at Rhode Island Governor Daniel McKee's recent address to the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce on Monday. The governor gave a similar talk to the Newport Chamber of Commerce on Tuesday, but I wasn't there, so I won't be talking about that. All political speeches are full of dog whistles and Easter eggs. Some are subtle, some, like we'll see today, are spelled out in no uncertain terms. Dog whistles are the use of politically coded messaging to garner support from a particular group without provoking opposition. The idea is that when Governor McKee talks to a group of wealthy business people, he says things in ways he might not when speaking in his State of the State address. For context, know that the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce is politically conservative and economically neoliberal. They might not believe personally in the myths of capitalism, like free markets and trickle-down economics, but they at least pretend to believe because these ideas, when actuated through public policy, put money in their pockets. Governor McKee's point in being at the chamber was to let the business community know that he is their friend. He explained how the tax cuts in his FY 2024 budget would benefit them. The governor frames the reasoning behind the tax cuts in two ways: as leveling the playing field between Rhode Island and our neighboring states of Connecticut and Massachusetts, and by directly appealing to the bottom line greed of wealthy business owners. To effectuate these tax cuts, Governor McKee runs budget surpluses, a trick he claims to have learned while serving as mayor of Cumberland. Quote, "When I was mayor in Cumberland, we made sure that when we did budgets, we budgeted for break-even and managed for surpluses. We're doing the same thing right now in the state of Rhode Island. We're budgeting for break-even, making sure that we're responsible in the way that we put our efforts forward in terms of the different things we're going to invest in, and then manage the surpluses. We love surpluses. If you're in business, I think you like surpluses. You'd rather be on that side of the fence than the other side of the fence, right? We want to be on the black side, not the red side. That's allowed us in 2 budget cycles now that I've managed to bring in some surpluses and take advantage of some of the momentum that is here." Governor McKee caveats his talk about budgets with the claim that he is not responsible for the surpluses, saying the surpluses are, quote, "not because of me or our administration as much as what's happening federally with dollars coming into the state." This isn't exactly true. Federal dollars are coming in, and better than average tax collections are part of the surplus, but so is underspending by state agencies due to the McKee administration not hiring to fill vacant positions. One estimate says that Rhode Island is running 500 jobs short, a big savings that rolls over to this year. Governor McKee spoke about his first budget as governor and the, quote, "little signal" he put in there for businesses. Quote, "The first year, I had 11 days to do a $12 to $15 billion budget. I had like 11 days, but we put a little something in there for businesses. That was a signal of what was coming. I put in a simple thing that you didn't have to pay for the $10 sales tax license fee," unquote. That signal to businesses in Governor McKee's first budget was his dog whistle to business owners. In his second year, now that he's been reelected and has at least 4 years to serve, he's going to accelerate the tax breaks. Governor McKee outlined a series of tax cuts in addition to direct subsidies to businesses in the state. Mind you, some of these tax cuts will accrue to the average Rhode Islander, but the majority will go to business owners. My administration is the first administration that I can recall that is actually proposing to reduce the sales tax. This is a big deal, said the governor. Quote, "There are other things we have in the budget I think are equally important, but I don't think there's anything more important than the sales tax," unquote. Governor McKee estimates that the decrease in sales tax will cost the state $35 million in unrealized sales taxes. Quote, "By the way, 50% of those sales tax savings will go right into the pocket of the business community. It's another business-friendly initiative, so I ask you to take a look at that," unquote. If Governor McKee is right, that's $17.5 million going directly into the pockets of small minority business owners who are members of the business community. Mind you, I am all for reducing the sales tax. It's regressive, meaning poor people pay a higher percentage of their income on sales tax than the rich do. But decreasing the sales tax has to be matched with increased revenue collection elsewhere, like increasing the income tax on the rich. Income taxes are, at their very best, more progressive and tax people more fairly. McKee's next tax break is difficult to make sense of. I've tried to strongman all his arguments here, but this one just baffles me. I had to work hard paraphrasing the next quote to cut through the gubernatorial word salad. Quote, "We are moving toward more and more electric vehicles. As a matter of fact, by 2035, I don't think any vehicles are going to be actually manufactured in a country that are not electric vehicles. What does that mean due to our gas tax? If the majority of vehicles on the road are not consuming gas, and if every penny in our gas tax brings in $4 million to improve our infrastructure, what are we going to do? I'm not inclined to increase the gas tax. Right now, by state law, us, by statute, and other factors, we're in line to raise our gas tax by 3 cents. If we do that, we become less competitive with our bordering states, in particular Massachusetts. We should be looking at ways to make sure that everybody who's using the roads is going to help improve the roads, right? What we put in a budget using our surplus was to delay any increase on the gas tax for 2 full years. That's about $25 million of tax relief that's going to come to the state of Rhode Island on top of the $35 million in tax relief on the sales tax." Unquote. Never mind that this makes no sense. Less people will be using gas, so less money will go into maintaining our infrastructure, so we need to lower the gas tax? By simple economics, shouldn't the opposite be true? But Governor McKee gives it all away when he says that preventing the gas tax from increasing 3 cents will be, quote, another business-friendly initiative. Now, you might argue that these tax cuts will save some money for the average Rhode Islander, and that even though businesses will benefit more than the average citizen, it's still good for middle and lower income people. But don't forget that this reduction comes at the cost of social services for Rhode Islanders most in need. Understaffing in state agencies made it insanely difficult for people to sign up for food stamps and other forms of social welfare. The money we don't collect cannot be spent on housing, on education, or any other public good. And then, what about the governor's proposed tax cuts that affect only businesses? Tax cuts the average Rhode Islander will never feel the effect of. Quote, "Our proposal is to lower the corporate minimum tax again from $400 to $375 and continually bring it down to a level where we're competitive with our bordering states. We're getting closer and closer to that, so support that. It's incremental, but it's important that we do it in a way that's responsible." Unquote. And, quote, "About 4,000 businesses in the state pay a litter tax that ranges anywhere from $150 and then incrementally up based on the gross revenues. We're asking the General Assembly to eliminate the litter tax. We're collecting almost $1 million a year on a litter tax, and we don't even use it to get rid of litter. How smart is that, right?" Unquote. And, quote, "We're requesting that the General Assembly provide 4% relief during the winter months on what is called the receipt tax on our electric and gas bills. That's another $35 million in relief that we're asking the General Assembly to do." Here's another little tiny dog whistle. We know utilities are a big cost to us, right? Note the use of the word us here. Governor McKee is identifying as a member of the business community here, and he has the bona fides. He's run and managed companies in the past. And this, quote, "Workman's comp was scheduled to go up this year, but we put $4 million in a budget so that our workman's comp did not increase. Now, we could have said, well, let it increase. But I know that workman's comp is a cost that our businesses have and that we need to be more competitive in that area. I was able in the budget to make sure that we were able to offset that increase." It's like the gas tax. Why would you increase the gas tax? Why would you increase workman's comp rates? Unquote. That's a direct giveaway to business. The state is literally paying the money that businesses are legally obligated to pay for workman's comp. And there's way more. Quote, "We put in $2.6 million for small business assistance programs and another $5 million for energy efficiency investments for small businesses." Unquote. And it gets worse. In addition to all this financial largesse, Governor McKee offered chamber members something that arguably was more valuable than money: access. Quote, I get to chair the Commerce Board, and we are putting a focus on the Commerce Corporation. We're putting good people on our Commerce Board. If you know people who would like to serve on the Commerce Board or on any other boards in the state, you should let me know, especially if you're interested in supporting the business community, which I am, unquote. Also, quote, I encourage you to share with us. We're about 8 months away from putting the next budget together. What's not in the budget today? What is the thing that's missing, you think? We've got another shot at it in 8 months when we start preparing the next budget, unquote. Essentially, Governor McKee is playing the part of Santa Claus, asking all the good little boys and girls in the business community for their Christmas wish lists. And there are more dog whistles. Quote, I could keep on going, but I know that you all got to get to work, unquote. Because of course, these are the people who work for a living, who create the economy, unlike the rest of us. I'll close this too long video with some last words. The idea of lowering taxes on businesses and the wealthy to stimulate economic growth is known by many names. Reaganomics, trickle-down economics, supply-side economics. By whatever name it's known, one thing is absolutely true. It doesn't work. It's never worked. These policies have led to the disaster of extreme wealth disparity. You can trace the use of these policies to extreme poverty, to the housing shortage, to food insecurity, corporate hegemony, on and on and on. However, one might feel about President Biden, who, like Governor McKee, is an old school neoliberal Democrat. He has, at least in part, rejected the trickle-down paradigm. The president's middle-out economic policies at the beginning of a rebuttal of trickle-down. There are already signs that these policies have increased some competition and lowered some prices. Is it enough? No. A kinder, gentler capitalism isn't the solution, it's a band-aid. But it's a start. Governor McKee didn't get that message. His economic policies are an overboiled gruel of 40-year-old Reaganomics. It's an anti-Robin Hood policy of taking from the poor to further enrich the wealthy. Its failure as policy is predetermined. But in the short term, it will make Governor McKee's friends in the business community a little more wealthy at our expense. And isn't that what America is all about? We need something so much better than this. See you next time.